Hi everyone, just a word of warning, there's a bit of colourful language flying around on this podcast, certainly this episode anyway, so maybe just keep the youngsters away from it. All right.
Hello and welcome back to Gas It Out. My name's Gavin Emmett, and in his bedroom, hopefully wearing some clothes, is Neil Hodgson. How are you?
Oh my God. You sound like you've got too much energy, Gav. I feel tired.
Really? I've just done my daily walk, daily exercise with the dog, and she was quite boisterous, so maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's just a little bit of excess dog energy.
How is Winnie the Pooch?
Winnie the Pooch is great. I just put a photo actually of her up on Instagram. She is the spitting image of Alf. Do you remember Alf off the telly?
Oh, I love
Alien
that
life form. Yeah,
Ooh.
I loved it.
Yeah.
She's a spitting image. She's got like his weird nose. So she's quite funny. Well, thank you for listening. Those of you who are tuned in right now, is that what you do to a podcast? I don't know. You still haven't guessed the bike in the intro.
Who has? Me?
You haven't. And I'd like people who listen to this to guess what the bike is. I'll tell you what though.
I think it's an M1.
You said a Ducati the first time.
Yeah, well, I can change my mind. Gav, you've known me now quite a few years. I changed my mind quite a lot.
Right. I just all I know is that MLav would know straight away.
He so would as well. MLav and Jules. I think you'll find that was my Julian Ryder impression.
Brilliant. Your impressions are actually. I mean, we need one a week. I think that's becoming.
Well, I can do a Morecambe one.
Go on.
Well, it's similar to me, isn't it? Really.
Brilliant. I can do a Morecambe one. It's basically my voice, so I can do that.
Yeah. I'm doing it now. Can you not hear? Can you not tell?
We're working hard on it. That's what I like to hear. Yeah, that and your big questions. I hope you've prepared some questions for our guest today.
Big questions. Yes, I have. Yeah.
You've prepared some.
I'm ready.
Seriously, have you prepped? Because I'm surprised if you prep on this one. Hey, we'll get into the guest in a minute, actually, because I just want to get everyone up to date with what's going on, that sort of thing. On the podcast front, Neil, I don't know if you saw. I know I told you we'd gone top 10 in sport. We went top 5.
What? Top 5? Oh my God!
In sport. I mean, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Hey, Gav. There must be some crap podcasts.
That's what I was saying. Seriously, people must really be bored. Really, to have to listen to this chuntering on. So I just want to thank people for listening and leaving good ratings. It really does help. It's really appreciated. Literally, all the podcasts around us are either Radio 5 on the BBC, so get quite well promoted there, or they're by it's the Guardian Football Weekly or the Telegraph or whatever. And I'm here. You can possibly hear a child crying in the background, which is next door, because the walls are so thin. I'm just doing it in the little attic office that you see on The Greatest Race on BT. Hodgie's in his bed.
I'm just.
You're not. You are wearing something though, I hope.
Yeah, I've got my tracky bottoms on, but obviously I've got no top on because I've been outside in the garden. So
you are joking, mate. No, I'm actually a bit creeped out by it.
Yeah.
No, I am.
Listen.
Can you put a top on?
No, I'm being serious. Well, you know me, I've never got a top on.
Well,
I'm like the world's weirdest man.
Yeah, but I thought you'd be the sort who won't wear one outside, but then inside. Oh, yeah, I'm wearing a T-shirt inside. Yeah.
No,
weird.
I'm constantly wandering around in my undies. It's all right. I do it so it encourages Vic to do it more, basically. So it seems. I tell you what's been good.
Go on.
I've been thinking about it. Well, self-isolation. Vic started working out in the living room watching these DVDs, which it's like a double whammy because usually the DVD she's
it's not
watching.
The DVD of 2003 Greatest Superbike Moments, is it?
No, that. Do you know what? There is, and I didn't realise this was the case. You can actually wear a DVD out, so that one now is worn out. It doesn't work anymore.
I know you're lying, because that one was only in Betamax.
Yeah, fair fight.
It was reel to reel.
Nasty.
Go on. So she's doing a DVD workout.
Yeah. So it's a double whammy because you get to see a little bit of action going on. You know, quite nice gear, gym gear, bending over and squats and stuff. So I'm not complaining. And it's like usually some one fit sort of like celebrity DVD. So I'll just keep wandering in and out, having a quick look what's going on. So happy days, really.
This ties in quite nicely with a message I received on Instagram from someone called MotoEv46, and he said, I saw Hodgie in the pits at Phillip Island. I don't think it was last year. I think it was in the past sometimes. He said, I saw Hodgie in the pits at Phillip Island, and he smiled at my girlfriend at the time. Obviously, they're not together anymore. Smiled at her in a way that made me think we'd better leave the island straight after the race.
Oh, my God. I'm not like that, am I? You know me, actually, Gav. I'm not like that. I'm not creepy. No, I hate that sort of character. You know, who's like.
I love it.
I could name a few races that are just like that, and I'm definitely not going to.
Well, that's what he said. Anyway, he said he shared the podcast with his mates at home in Australia.
Sorry.
Go on.
Sorry, I'm just clearing the throat. Troy Coulter. Who you would definitely not leave your girlfriend, wife with. Definitely not. Do you know what? Actually, this is a true story. I was at a wedding, and probably about 6 years ago with Vic, and it was Steve Brogan's wedding, and Troy Coulter was there, and I pointed him out. I said to Vic, "Keep your eye on him over there, because I tell you what, when he's had a beer, he gets a bit touchy-feely." Anyway, fast forward about 5 hours, Vic comes up to me. She went, "You were right about your mate." I went, "Yep."
Brilliant. Absolutely super.
Oh, God bless him.
So thanks to Motorwave for your message as well. He's an Aussie himself, actually, so he'll know Troy particularly well. He said he shared it with his mates at home and in New York, so I hope you're all right up there. I know things aren't too great at the moment over in New York. Just on the MotoGP front, before we talk about our guest, Neil, more races gone. Mugello's gone, Catalonia's gone. Carmelo's now being quoted as saying it's tough to see how the season starts until there's a vaccine. Your belief is not coming true, but it's getting closer, isn't it?
I know, and God, you know this better than anyone. I've never wanted to be so wrong in my life.
Yeah.
You know, God, we're desperate. We are all desperate. Obviously, everyone's desperate to get back to some sort of normality. But, you know, the thought, the wishes, the hopes and prayers that a season will start.
So there was another report in GP1, that one I think was from the Germans, in GP1 that it might start around Austria time, middle of August.
Yeah.
And then
happen,
start cramming them in then. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
He says it's hard with it being a global championship to ever consider it. So I know people don't want to hear all these things, but, you know, they are the news. What we're trying to do a little bit of news, are we? We're not really. We just want a little chat, to be honest. But we know you'll all be thinking about it and worrying about it, and we are. You know,
yeah.
There are bigger things to worry about, of course. But yeah, other big news. Neil, did you see Johann Zarco on Instagram playing the guitar, singing a song?
Oh, I saw he was on Twitter. It made me laugh out loud because there's a lot of riders doing some great stories, which I'm loving everyone's stories. Steve Salford has been very entertaining. Witt's entertaining.
Been great. Rob
Mack's been Terry Reimer, James Hayden. Some great stories flying around. All of a sudden,
you haven't got in that Trakanori yet, have you?
I haven't got into it yet. No, I've been busy.
Save your stories for here. Just save them for the podcast, all right?
Yeah, save them for the podcast. But then you flick through and all of a sudden you've got Zarco there, who I've got to say I'm a massive fan of. Yeah. I like him on and off the track.
He's a quirky
He's eccentric.
Character, isn't he?
Yeah. And he's not over-friendly at times. Sometimes he'll be friendly. Sometimes he'll be a bit weird with you, which I'm okay with that. But when you just see him there with his guitar, just having a little sing-song, not a care in the world. I've always said it doesn't look like a bike racer, does he? Doesn't look.
No.
He doesn't look fit. He looks like an accountant. He looks, got long hair. I don't know. He just doesn't really fit the mould of a MotoGP rider. But bloody hell, that boy can ride. So.
And he can play piano
and sing
and play the guitar quite clearly as well. A lot of talent and gymnastics. He obviously likes his backflips. The other
backflips.
Interesting thing I saw on social media this week was an interview from the BBC circa 1992, conducted by Barry Nutley. Tell us more. Did you see that at all?
What an absolute knob! There we go.
What, you're putting yourself in the Andre Iannone bracket?
And I'm talking about myself. Yeah, it appeared on Twitter this morning, and I retweeted it because I had to. So, yeah, basically it's me. So it's 1992. I'm 18 years old, near the end of the season. It's the first time the BBC wanted to interview me. So if you hear the way I'm talking, I sound like I've got a weird accent, right? So at the time, I'd got a manager. Roger Bennett was my manager, and he'd said, back in the olden days, it was a bit like this. He said, "Listen, no one's going to want to sponsor just like a thick northerner. Can't talk with such a thick, strong accent. You've got to try and tweak your accent a little bit."
Roger's got a lovely speaking voice, hasn't he? That's probably part of it.
Well, it is a bit, but Roger's
he's still from Grimsby, exactly.
He's from Humberside, isn't he? You know what I mean? So it's not like, but he took the rough edges off his accent. That was me trying to be posh.
Oh,
and I didn't know.
Funny. Some good chat.
Oh, yeah. There was just no chat at all. Barry asked me a question and I give him like a 3-word answer, then just run out of things to say and stare at him, and then he's like, "Oh, I better ask you another question then." So yeah. Oh, cringe. 1992.
Fun. It's funny. Go and have a search.
You've got to laugh.
So let's talk about our guest today, Neil. And he's a good mate of yours, and you go back a long way, don't you? We'll ask him about that in a bit and what you were like. But he's got 23 TT wins to his name, 6 Northwest 200 wins. First man to break 130 miles an hour at the TT on the Isle of Man. And all-round top man, the McPint, John McGuinness. Can't wait to him. I've met him a few times, but I don't know him like you know him, because you go back a long way, don't you?
Wow, God, we go back to the 80s. So we used to do motocross at the same club, sort of near the end of like both of our like motocross careers. We did schoolboy motocross for quite a lot of years. And then we started road racing at the same time. I think he might have started the year before. I think he started in 89, I started in 90. And then we came along the same journey then. We did the sort of nationals together, British Championships together, and just we've always been mates. John is John. John's never changed. Do you know what's weird about John is the fact that now I look at him and I think he's a legend. Everyone knows him as a legend, but it's John McGuinness from Morecambe, because he's never changed. No. And you know what he's like. Yeah. He's like, "Oh, I'm just a brickie. I'm just a normal lad." Well, that's how he is. I spoke to him today earlier to ask him if he'd do the podcast, and we FaceTimed, and just some of the things he was saying to me, he was just John. He's not Flash, never been Flash, as you know, and so don't give a fuck about anything, really. It's
true,
John.
though, isn't it? It is, you get what you see. You know, literally that is
and
it.
We love him for it.
Yeah, and a good character, great character as well, and seriously talented as well, Neil, on a motorcycle.
Yeah, well, I'm sure we'll ask him about it, but always everybody looks at John and just thinks road racing, but he was a great short circuit rider, very, very fast. He won a 250cc championship roundabout, I'd say about 96, but I might be wrong. And beat some quick lads. Done Grand Prix racing. Ended up doing I know he did one wildcard race round about 2000.
I think he did a couple more in a couple of years before.
Did he?
Yeah.
Well, I looked actually. In 2000, he finished 13th in the race, and he beat, believe it or not, Alex Barros, Goldberg, Nobu Aoki, and Gary McCoy. Some
average riders there then.
Some real average riders, exactly.
Actually, as well, Gary McCoy, if that was 2000, then Gary McCoy won a race that year. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it was that wet race at Donington where McWilliams almost...
And Rossi...
Did he almost win?
Rossi won
almost
it?
Won it,
And McWilliams on the podium,
win.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, we'll ask him about that, definitely then.
So I think it's fair to say he can ride on track as well as on road. You know, he's not just a road specialist. That said, he's a bloody good, obviously, stating the obvious, is a good road specialist. He's near the end of his career, and we need to ask him about it. Because I'm like, because he's older than me. John's a year, 18 months older than me. So I'm 46.
56. Oh, sorry, 40.
yeah. And as you know, I can't even imagine the thought of racing now. So for him to still be prepared to literally put it on the line doing the roads, I need to know what's going on in his head.
He was down to do the TT this year with Kawasaki. Anyway, right, enough of us talking to each other about him.
Right, yeah, it's 5 o'clock. We need to call him because he's downloaded Skype. He's got his son Ewan to do it for him because he's the ultimate technophobe. He's even worse than me, which is hard to believe. And just when I FaceTimed him, he's going, "So what do I do? Download Skype." All right. So then what happens? How does it work? Well, do people see us? And do they subscribe to like listen? And I'm like, it's just a phone call. We're just going to have a chat. Okay. And so then how does it go out? What happens next? Don't worry about that. We're just going to talk. We'll have a chat. Oh, all right. So hang on. So what happens when? Honestly, it was funny.
Right.
Bless him.
Well, let's see if it works. If we can get him on, because this is someone who's downloaded Skype at Neil's behest, who, as he's just pointed out, isn't exactly IT genius of the century.
No. Let's have a go. There he is.
Hello.
Good. Hang on. Hang on, chap. Trying to work it out.
You can do this, John. John, you can bloody do this.
Your passcode. What is my passcode? I don't know what your passcode is.
Does he need his passcode?
Well,
right, hang on a sec. Hang on. Whoa. I've got Gavin's face now.
Oh, you've got my face, have you? Blooming
No, well, I've just got some beauty shop where you're on holiday in fucking.
That's in.
Where you probably.
It's in Ibiza, that is.
It looks more like you just got out of bed with a prostitute or something in Thailand.
Hang on.
I don't need to see you. If you right, I've got his face as well here. That's popped up for me. Blooming heck.
My face is minute in the corner, but I can't see you guys.
Yeah, because I don't have mine on.
All right.
We don't have to. We can just do it as you can just do it as a call on the screen. There should be something that just says turn your video off, because then it might be better connection, but we can hear you great. So it's actually.
Okay. Right. I'm just in my toy shop.
Oh, look at that! Oh, just one or two then.
It's about 57 bikes or something.
About 57.
I've just got to show Neil a bike here, a proper bike here, 2-stroke.
Hang on, I can't see it. No.
500.
I can't see it.
Can you see it, Neil?
No, I'm not. I'm just on the call. Somebody said that it might cost me 50p if you get video as well. So I don't want to be spending any money.
Right, listen, let me go in my office because I'm in the garage and the signal's a bit up and down. So I'm walking out of the garage and town.
Yeah.
Right?
All right, go on.
We don't mess it up.
Yeah.
So, enjoying the sunshine here. We're getting a bit of sunshine up north.
I know. Same here. Well, I'm in Leeds, so it's been lovely over here. It's been nicer here than it was supposed to be at the weekend.
Yeah. Well, weekend, they said all that was going to be nice at weekend, but it was savage here Sunday. It was blowing a hoolie, so pretty crap.
Yeah, same here. It all got a bit cloudy.
They got us all excited, didn't they? And then, yeah. Right, sweet. Got you.
Lovely stuff. Right, so how are you anyway? How is all this lockdown life in Lancashire doing?
Well, to be honest, honestly, I'm so lucky because we've got some space up here. We've got a few acres of land and a garage full of toys, and we've got some petrol. And I suppose that's all we sort of need, really. But yeah, frustrating. It's frustrating, isn't it?
You don't know how many people now on hearing that are going, "Oh, I'm so jealous. I'm so envious of that. I've been able to get out."
Hey, listen, lads. I'm feeling for you chaps who are sort of and chapesses that are trapped in places and cities, and I mean, I don't know. I'm just a northerner, really, and at this moment in time, I feel privileged to be where I am. So it must be super difficult for people with no gardens and.
Yeah, it must be horrible.
Has Becky given you a list of jobs? Because we've all had them. We've been talking about.
Mate.
Odgie's been doing the fence. I've been doing loads of different stuff around the house and gardening. Have you suddenly found more jobs than ever?
I have, yeah. But to be honest, I've been quite enjoying them. But I've been chipping away, really. So I don't want to peak too soon because we're going to be locked down for a month or two. It could be a while, couldn't it? So I was rolling my fields today. I was rolling one of my fields with my John Deere tractor. I was like. I was happy as a pig in poo. I was all right, had the radio on, and just getting it prepared. I'd like to run a grass track actually at my place.
Well, because I saw you'd done something before. Because you love your speedway and your flat track, that sort of things, don't you? And you did have one bit. you were doing things on, weren't there? Have you got that sorted now?
Yeah, we've got. It's like a bit of a McGuinness ranch, really. It's not like your Texas Tornado ranch. It's just a little bit, not quite the same. But I've got a little speedway track, a little motocross track going. We've got like a little rally course track. We're going to build a bit of a go-kart track. We've got no neighbours, so it's just a big toy shop. So,
awesome.
You know what I would really like to do, which is a bit weird, but when I grew up, I used to go to a lot of and Neil could, Neil knows the old school grass tracks, if you like, with
the old stubble fields,
like a stubble field, but like a proper grass track, like.
Oh, you mean a proper oval?
Yeah, an oval grass track. Yeah, with proper grass track bikes, but run a scrambler class as well. I call them scramblers. Run a scrambler as well, and then just have a beer tent and just maybe a bit of camping and a bit of a stopover, and then see if I can make it work. I don't know.
Oh, you say, hang on, John's already thinking of a money-making scheme here, though. I can see that beer tent. It's just 15 quid to come in. We'll put on a few races.
I'll do it for a tenner. We'll do it for a discount.
It's cash. I can already see your son. Yeah, your son will be there. Ewan will be there on the gate, obviously, because Ewan's already told me. He said that obviously I do a lot of work with my dad. It's one for him, one for me. So you can he's got big pockets.
Brilliant.
That'll be my dad. That'll be my dad coming out of him with the old one for me, one for you job. So. But he does all right. I'll tell you, he's got a car, he's got his insurance, he's got a little pad, his boudoir here, and I've got to drag him out of bed in the morning to get him to do a few little jobs and stuff. But how things have changed, Neil. When we were kids, we were up and we were trying to build a go-kart or make a trailer or do a BMX bunny hop or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're just different generations. So
John, Odgie was just telling us about you two doing schoolboy motocross together.
Yeah.
What was it? What was he like back then? What was Odgie like? Were you pals then, all the way back then?
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, I mean, I knew of Neil, but Neil was always the cool kid with all the new gear, and he had the blonde hair.
He was making out the complete opposite.
No, he was always he was the cool kid, and his brother as well. They were fast, they were good, they were fair, and like you say, Vale of Rossendale, all our meetings around there, they were stubble fields. They were good crack, they were good fun, and they were grassroots racing. It was cheap, and we'd be tearing around the paddock, pulling over a few wheelies on BMXs and stuff, chasing the girls, and it was good. I mean, my heart was always on the road racing. When I did motocross and stuff, my heart was always in the road racing. So it was good. It was good to learn. It was good, the connection between your bum and your throttle, and it was just learning, and that's all we ever knew.
And Gav, do you know what? What's really interesting is what John said there is so true though. We were lucky, right? Because up north we didn't have motocross tracks. We just had fields, and a lot of the tracks we went to were just flat fields. And essentially, what we were learning was how to control a bike and slide a bike. And it's no different to what Marc Marquez has been doing or what the Americans did. We didn't realise what we were learning, but we were learning what John said, the connection between the throttle and your bum, basically what the rear of the bike's doing, so you can control.
And you thought you were messing about?
Exactly. Yeah, we were just racing stubble fields, but essentially, when we started road racing, we were ahead of the game straight away when we got on tarmac, because it was easy for us. Because when the bike slid a little bit, you were used to having that quick reaction to understand what to do. But it weren't, like I said, that wasn't planned, was it? It was just a case of that's what we'd done for quite a lot of years as kids.
But it was great, it was great. The dads would be hanging over the rope. My dad would be going mental at me, sometimes he'd lift the ropes up and tell me to get off the track if I wasn't doing any good. There's been a few times where I've had the old little argument with my dad, and fired a few words into him, and then walked off, and I've come back sort of half an hour later with my tail between my legs, and there'd just be a square where the van was. He'd leave me, so I'd have to get a lift home with somebody. I mean, my dad was my dad, and Neil, you were the same, Neil, wasn't it? He was the
exactly the same.
That drive home when you've not done so good you could hear a pin drop all the way home, couldn't you? And you'd be looking down at your feet, but on the next meeting, Dad would be proudest dad in the world, trophy be on the dashboard at van, wasn't it? He'd be, You know, you'd be on your way home, and you know, it was just great. It was great.
It's so funny because it'd be like that after you do practice, Gav, and you're coming after practice. My dad would be packing the back of the van up. This is after practice, and I'd go.
I can imagine Mark doing it. Your dad as well.
And I'd have horror on my face. I'd go, "What's wrong?" And he'd go, "Well, there's no point in bloody effing being here, is there? If you're going to ride like that, there's no point in me being here. I've got plenty of things I can be doing with my time." And I'd be going, no, it's all right. I'll go faster in the races. But like you said it with your son Ewan, and I'm like that with my kids. It's just different generation. If you did that with your kids now, there'd be people going, "Wow, he's the worst dad in the world. You can't do that." But it was tough love, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. But like you say, he's your hero, isn't he? Your dad's still your hero. You know, you have heroes in racing, and you know. But the bottom line is, your old man. He wants best for you, and he knows when you're doing all right, and he knows when you're not putting the effort in. And you know, you have that little row because you're a teenager, and you think you know better, but you don't. And it's grounding you into it, you know, to take you on to hopefully, you know, you can achieve later on in life, you know. And I still respect my dad, you know. He's a big fat lazy bugger now, and but he's still going. Do you know what I mean? He's nearly 70-year-old, but you know, I sent him a picture today. I was in my tractor and I was rolling field, and I said, "Dad," I sent him a little video. I said, "I'm rolling field ready for grass track," and he said, "I'll show you the way, laddie. Get it nice and smooth. I'll still show you the way."
Brilliant.
So it could be old 500 CCM coming out, you know, 1978 CCM coming out with old M. Robert boots on or something and his leather pants.
Bloody hell.
He'll have a stadium helmet on with pressed stud peak, won't he? Goggles on. There'll be no face mask on it, just big goggles and peaked moustache with pawn moustache sticking out from. Classic look.
That sounds like my helmet, doesn't it, Neil? The one that you love.
It does.
I've seen you riding. Where were you riding? Was it that Snowquake or something? You're having a go on something.
We did Quake and Snowquake, and we went to Aidan Collins' place actually up in Buxton. We did a day there, which was superb. Absolutely loved that. That was what a beautiful place that was to go and ride.
Yeah.
I recommend that to everyone. Actually,
I've been there. Yeah, I've been there.
It's brilliant. Yeah. And it's just a bit of fun, isn't it? A little blast around in a real picturesque place.
You know, I've got a couple of those bikes, those speedway bikes with the small engines in, with the little 150s in, and my little track is actually it's coming in. It's working in quite good now at the minute. It just needs a bit. You need to put a bit of water on it. You can get a bit of a slide on. So, but yeah, it's. Those little bikes are good to train, and when you get on the 500s, that's a different story.
Oh, no chance. Absolutely no chance. I wouldn't be turning. I'll be going straight up and over the fence. I would, without a doubt.
They get your attention.
I can imagine.
Big respect for them speedo riders.
Well, that's what I was going to ask actually, because obviously you're known for road racing, but we were talking before about your short circuit abilities, and that it wasn't shy at all. But I wondered, in terms, you mentioned your motorcycle heroes being your dad, then, but who was it? Was it speedway? Was it motocross, or was it on the roads, or was it someone who'd race on circuits? Who was it you wanted to emulate?
Well, my hero always was Joey Dunlop, really, right. And sort of still is. I mean, don't get me wrong, Sheen, Roberts. When I were a kid, you know, a 70s baby, watching them, Sheen, Roberts battles, Will Hartog.
Nope, just lost you, John. Have you ever lost you, Neil, as well?
No, I'm still here.
To the TT when I was 10 years old in 1982, and you know they came down Braille. There'd be people like Mick Grant, Joey Dunlop, Ron Aslan, all of them. They were gladiators to me, and I saw Joe with the yellow helmet on, and you know, he was 5 times world champion, and he was my hero, you know, number 3, and yeah, I mean, I got to be, you know, my first ever race at the TT. He won the race. The first time I got on the podium on a super bike, he won the race. I was 3rd. Me and Michael Rutter were on the podium, and the pair of us were stood either side of this 48-year-old man thinking, you know, what an old bastard he is, you know. But, you know, what he did that week, and I was actually his teammate as well. So from being a hero of mine to working alongside him, to being his teammate, to racing in the same races with him, you know, it was pretty special, really, you know. And I was with him only a few days before he got killed in Estonia, you know. So I got quite close to him, I thought. You know, a lot of other people, I I was young, and I don't know. I used to talk to him when I was his teammate, and I think he had no choice but to talk to me because I was just a young kid, like blah, 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 gibbering away in his ear, and you know what it's like, and you know, just to other people said you got a lot closer to Joey than you probably ever thought you did. If that makes sense.
That must be special.
Yeah.
That must feel special to have got. Is it part of that why? Because I mean, in theory, you if the TT hadn't been cancelled this year, you're going again. Is that part of what keeps you going?
Yeah. Well, I thought, 48-year-old Joey was 48. He won 3. He's won 26. I won 23. You know, he was going to the TT at 48 with 23 wins. You know, who knows? I mean, I've no crystal ball. I don't know, but it's just a disease for me, mate. I've stuck. I feel like I'm stuck in a bit of a rut at times, you know, and I don't know any different. You know, there's nothing else in my world, which is sometimes a bit sad, really. But I don't know. I love racing my bikes, and I love that anticipation, the nerves, the waiting for the postman to deliver your new leathers and your helmet and stuff like that. I still get that buzz, loading my camper up, putting the family in, going racing, and you know, where I was in 2016, I felt like I was riding the best or as good as I've ever ridden at the TT. And then 2017, through no fault of my own, and which it's all documented, we know what happened. The 17.5 raid was pretty disastrous, and I ended up getting injured on it. And I feel like it's not like unfinished business, but I never ever wanted to finish my motorbike career on a golf course. You know, I was upside down with a snapped leg on a golf course, and I flipping hate golf as it is. So I thought, no ending my career on the 8th green of a putting green. So, and then you know, we know again this Norton thing. It was disastrous. You know, as it all unfolded in the press, and can understand why there was no budget to run the bike, etc., etc.
Hey, hang on, whoa! There was budget.
Yeah, it must have been for handbags.
There were definitely budget flying around, but we don't, where that budget went, God only knows.
Oh, honestly, you know, I started doubting myself, mate. You know what I mean? I started doubting my own ability at times and my own thoughts and things about racing. And you know, I've done a few things. I've ticked a few boxes and done all right, you know. And after the episode at the TT, and I'm there with the engine bolt hanging out of the bike, I thought, is this a sign? You know, do I actually know what I'm doing here? I must be mad. And then I went to Macau and Birdie's Ducati, that V4, Scott Redding's bike, and I went faster than I've ever gone round there. And I was hitting all the apexes, I was hitting all the spots, I super enjoyed it. And when I got off that bike, I thought, you know, yeah, you haven't forgotten how to do it, lad. You know, I kept it to myself, but I doubted myself, and that's what, you know, floated my boat again, if you like. That's what rekindled my fire and got me going again. That's why I got excited for this year. So anyway, I'm waffling on.
No, not at all. We love hearing it. That's the thing. And Pete, you know, a lot of people would want to know it, and we know you, but we want to know as well what drives you. I was speaking to Neil about it earlier, weren't we, Neil? And you were talking about the motivation, and you sounds like you've still got that love for it.
Oh. Well, I was saying to Gav asked me, he's like, you know, obviously you were going to do the TT this year. What do you think drives him? And I said, I don't know, because for me, when the ship sailed, I'm relieved because it was so stressful, and that's just doing short circuits. So, like I've obviously we've had lots of chats about it, John, over the years, but I'm always saying to you, hey mate, it's all right. Life's good. You know, there's life after racing. You'll be okay. Yeah. Because that's how I feel about it. But I understand it's a decision you've to make yourself. And I know you probably get sick of talking about it because it's not that people want you to retire. They want you to retire on your own terms. You know what I mean? They don't want to make the decision for you. But I mean, you know,
the time to get out would have been 2016 when I finished on the podium, or 2015 when I won that senior. I should have took a big bow and walked away. But I don't know. You know, I do worry about what's going to happen when I retire, what's going to fill the gap. But I actually want it. Sort of a part of me wants it to happen, really. You know, another part doesn't. If that makes sense. I want a little dick bird to tell me to stop. You know, not stuck throttling through a fence at the northwest, and then
having a cage on your leg and everything like that.
Yeah, you know. You know, there was 6 or 8 months of my life gone there, and then people say, well, you know, why would you want to put yourself through that again? And why would you want to do this? And I don't know. I've got some weird takes on life sometimes. It's a bit bizarre, you know. I mean, one of my friends a few months ago, he got cancer, and 10 weeks from start to finish, we buried him, you know, and he was 52. I just think if you started off at your life and you were sat at a table and somebody dealt you a pack of cards and said, you can have 50 fantastic years or 60 shite ones, which ones would you take?
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what to say really, but I
love that outlook. I love that outlook.
Yeah,
it's a really positive outlook, though. It is.
Yeah. I've honestly, I've come from nothing and travelled the world. I've done World Super Sport, World Endurance. We've done some Grand Prix. I've ticked all the boxes, and I've nothing else to tick, you know. But just, what else do I do, you know?
Hey, so tell us about the Grand Prix, because you'd won a British 250 championship. You did a 250 Grand Prix, right? First of all.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd been Rossi's time.
250 wild card. Sorry.
But Rossi will have been on track.
When Valentino won his first ever 500 Grand Prix race at Donington, I was in that race. I finished 30. Yeah. You know, could be a bit of an excuse and a bit of a waffle on, but I'll give you a quick overlook of it. You know, I was the only one on the new Dunlop rear or Dunlop tyres, and they brought out in like what's called an aeroplane wet, which is that first one with the stripes on instead of the blocks. I was the only one on Dunlops, and the race was soaked at the start of the race. When it'd been a long race, it dried out. But at the start, I was dead last, and I was wobbling around. I was embarrassing myself. And then the track and the tyres started coming to me. All of a sudden, I'm fastest on the track. It used to be red helmets at the time, I think, was it, in 2000? You get these red helmets up, so you're fastest on track. So all of a sudden, I'm catching Barros, I'm catching Aoki, then I'm catching Gibernal, I'm catching these other guys, and I'm catching them, passing them. I'm like, oh, this is sweet. And the one thing I do remember about that race is, as I was coming out of Goddard, and Neil's been in a situation, I'm sure, when you go down when you go down Coppice and down the back straight, you can see the riders going round Goddard, can't you, until the start and finish?
Yeah.
You can see them coming around there. My motivation for the race, for about 15 laps, I could see Valentino, Jeremy, and Kenny Roberts on the brakes going into that, lap after lap after lap. So I was matching their pace. And it was something I'm proud of. Something that was really, really cool to do. The most embarrassing thing, somebody ran on the track and gave me a flag, and I dropped it in the back wheel. And it got wrapped down the back wheel. I locked the back wheel up.
You didn't go down though, did you?
No, I just started tightening up. It was wrapped around the back wheel that much. It sort of seized the back wheel. I had to get in the course car and come back. So
no,
right, Dick. Yeah.
All right, Dick.
What a tool. But I did the 1999 Grand Prix 500. Did the 1998 one, and you know the 98 one was when Simon Crayford won on the.
Oh yeah, and he was on the Dunlop.
Dunlops,
that day, wasn't he? Yeah.
Well, you know the irony of that. In 1998, I finished 12th in the 500 Grand Prix, but I actually got lapped by Simon. Mick Doohan was second, and Aoki was third, I think, on the Suzuki. And all three of them lapped me. I was like, well, I scored some points. I did what I did. I did my best for what I had. And then in 1999, same bike, same race, 500 Grand Prix as well. And I was dicing the whole of the race with Simon Crayford on the MUZ with Michelin's on.
Bloody
hell. The year before he won the race, and then the year after I'm
You're battling with him.
It was the Muzz, wasn't it? The MUZ thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a bit of a dog, wasn't it? But it's like how fickle racing is and how difficult it is. If things aren't right and you don't get the feel you need, or the team around you, or the confidence, so it's you got literally 0 to 0.
Yeah, from dominating the Grand Prix the year before to wobbling around in 10th place for me. And you know what? The front tyre on my 500 had been kissing the radiator for the whole of the race, and eventually it rubbed a hole in the radiator. And on lap 30, my 500 seized up on the last lap, out of 10th place. You know.
Bloody hell!
You think
that's like a sliding doors moment, isn't it?
Nobody's
one of those.
Interested, are they? Nobody's interested. But for me, I can remember it like yesterday.
I bet you can.
I just thought 10th place is going to be 10th, and it just nipped up on the last lap. I couldn't believe it. And it had been just dribbling the water away for like probably 10 laps. As it's been coming out the radiator, it's been evaporating, but it's lost its water, overheated and seized up on the last lap. So, yeah.
Tell us about, so I was chatting to Odgie before about World Supersport when you're over doing that. Go on, Neil. Neil was laughing about a couple of bits.
I've got memories about that, John.
Oh, look, dreadful year that for me.
No, but not on track. It was all off track. I was telling.
Oh, was that when I was putting me 500 litres of red diesel in next to you, trying to do?
That's it.
Quiet, yeah.
Explain. Go on.
Well, basically, I was in bed, and it's the night before the race. I can't remember which track it was, but Monza. That's right. And it's probably about 11 o'clock at night. I've been in bed an hour because it's the night before and I'm nervous and I'm a stress head and I'm worried. And I'm like, for God's sake, what's that noise next door? And I knew John had parked his motorhome next to me. And then I could hear like these chinking of like tins and like you could hear like the side of a locker and then you could hear a bit heaving and just look up this noise going on. So then I like slide the curtain back and look and it's John. It's got a set of gloves on and he's pouring this big 20 litre can of red diesel.
Drums. There were them 50 litre elf drums.
Oh, 50 litres, yeah.
Big drum.
And I see the next day. And I'm like, what the fuck was happening last night? And he's like, oh, just filling the old girl up with a bit of red. You know, hey, I can't. It's like I can't afford to drive it out here any other way. I mean, obviously, I know you don't do anything like that now, John. This was back in the day. Yeah. You know,
I got done for it in '98 in a transit van, but that was all right. 500 quid, so I'm in front.
You're up.
That trip, you know, Monza. I'll never forget it again. Good crack because I'm looking for Monza. I've never been to Monza before, and it's a pig to find, isn't it? It's just in like a.
There's no signs.
There's no signs.
It's in a massive park. You just can't find the entrance.
So I'm going around. It's 2 in the morning. I've driven a full shift. I've come from wherever. I'm absolutely knackered and desperate to get to the track. Becky's having to do it with me. Ewan's only 1 year old, screaming his head off it back. I'm stressing like mad. I'm really low diesel at this point. So I pulls. It's about God knows what time in the morning. So I pulls into the gate, shows me passes, and the motorhome stops. It runs out of diesel in the gate. All the Italians are going absolutely mental at me. I'm like trying to speak in pidgin English, like there's no diesel. It's run out of diesel, and I'm trying to bleed it up, you know, because I blocked the entrance into the circuit. Lo and behold, who comes past? The only people that were ever my friends, apart from yourself, Neil, obviously, the only people that were ever my friends at World Supersport that kept me sane was a load of sidecar lads. But they're walking in. Next thing you know, they're not bothered, are they? Rolls the sleeves up, starts bleeding camper up, and he gets it going. So I went in and got it parked up, yeah. So the old sidecar boys pulled me out of the shit there.
Absolutely super.
It was so tough. I tell you, I was 1.2 off pole at Monza, and I was last. I couldn't believe it. It was so competitive, that 600 class then. World Supersport in the early 2000s was nuts. And
would it have been then Vermeulen, or would it have been Andrew Pitt?
Well, it was Whittam was at the front of that, yeah. Fabian Foray on the bikes, yeah. But there were factory Suzuki with Chambon, Fujiwara. There were loads of them, weren't there? There was Casoli, there was the Ducatis that were in there. There was that Kellner and that toy shirt, them German lads, and it was super, super hard. I scored a few points through the year, but it was tough. I went to circuits I'd never seen before. I went to Kyalami and I got off the plane, didn't feel very well. I got pneumonia and spent 5 days in a hospital in Kyalami.
Really?
Yeah, I went. I was in a private hospital, but it was a bit ropey. They were coming in with gunshot wounds and stabbings, and I was wiped out. And there was a little Chinese man next to me in the bed. He just kept shitting in bed every 2 hours, and I was just wedded in this place. And yeah, so we did the free practice on the Friday, and then I went to hospital for the rest of the trip. Yeah,
great memories.
Really hard.
I love South Africa.
I hated it. All the things you ever dream of being a world champion, I got to world championship, and do you know what? I wanted the ground just to open up and swallow me up. It was horrible.
Yeah, but the team was not very good. The bike was slow, and you had 1 year at it. And like you said, there were no slow riders. There were factory teams on factory bikes.
Yeah,
factory riders. Yeah. It was a tough time, wasn't it?
I got replaced by a Japanese rider. When I went to the TT, I got replaced by a Jap rider, and he crashed on that bike and broke his wrist. It was just doomed, that thing. And the only time I've ever kicked a bike, in temper, I got really mad with it because it used to blow up and it used to break the cam trigger. It was I mean, the TT, I begged and begged for him to try and use a different engine. And, I was certainly capable of winning the 600 TT on it. And I would dice him for the lead with Jim Moody, and it threw a rod at the end of the Cronkavody straight. And it's one of the closest I've ever come to, having a huge one. I went up the grass bank on the exit of the Cronkavody straight, bounced down the grass bank, and then they were pulled up on the side of the road, and I started booting the bike in temper, which is so unlike me. And I was screaming at the marshal to get the oil flag out, and then Ian Duffus come round the corner. He went sideways on my oil, and he nearly crashed as well. So, yeah, it was a year to forget, really. I had an okay TT on the superbike, but the 600 was disastrous for me.
I loved about that year was can you remember Phillip Island, you and your jet lag?
Yeah.
Do you know what? It was so funny. So John arrives. I've been to Phillip Island so many times, and I know, first time you go to Australia, you arrive there and you're absolutely destroyed.
And you always get there in the morning, don't you?
Yeah, you literally land, don't you? Melbourne Airport, it's about 7 o'clock in the morning, and then you mess around, get a hire car, drive 2 hours, an hour and a half down to Phillip Island. You get to Phillip Island at about lunchtime, 12 o'clock, and the key is stay awake that day. Yeah. So I see John, and I go, John, stay awake, and he's like, yeah. So I see him then the next day, and he looks even worse, and I go, John, what's going on? And he went, oh, well, no, listen to what you said. I get it. But he said, I checked into my hotel room at 12 and I thought I'd just have 5 minutes on the bed. and then, so I see him the next day and I'm like, yeah, what happened? He's like, well, obviously I fell asleep and I had 10 hours sleep straight. And I wake up and it's 12 o'clock at night. And then I'm awake all night. And then it's like you never got out of the cycle. You were just jet lagged the whole weekend.
It is horrendous. I was just a northern kid. I was lost, you know what I mean? You just living the dream in Australia. But it's that was that test, wasn't it? You had a test before it. And,
that was it.
I had a crash out on the hairpin as well. And flipping hurt my leg real bad. Put me out of the test. Yeah, so I didn't break it, but when you just whack your leg and.
Yeah.
Do you know what? And then we went back and then we did Valencia. And we blew every engine up in Valencia. Callum Muggeridge was my teammate at the time, and Paul Muggeridge was infuriated by it all, and I'm sort of taking a few things on the chin, so I'm a bit soft, but he was going mental. He must have wrote about 6 helmets off. Every time he come in, he just threw his helmet at the garage wall and bounced his helmet off the wall. He was a bad-tempered bugger. Yeah, it was a tough time. I had nowhere to go as well. I mean, you were stressed. You did say it before there. You went to bed early at Monza because you were stressed, but you were a bad-tempered bugger when you were racing.
Yeah,
it was always really like you never really enjoyed being there at times. I don't know.
And I think that's why I enjoy retirement so much. Because it's like I've done it. I've come to the end. I couldn't have tried any harder. And actually, it wasn't that pleasant. It was not what people think when people say to me, "Oh, God, you were living the dream racing bikes." I'm like, no, I'm living the dream now. This is living the dream. But I put myself under so much pressure. But I think a lot of that came from my dad in the early days.
Well, from what you both said about
we're not here to have fun. It's not fun. We're not here to have fun. Yeah. We're here to win.
So for the both of you, then, when's been your happiest time on a bike?
Then.
Yeah, I mean,
when school by motocross was my happiest time because you got off your bike, there were no debrief, there were no download. You rode around, did a race, and then you got in your BMX and you went pulling wheelies with your mates. That was like what racing bikes was about. Do you know what I say to a lot? I speak to a lot of parents, or parents come up to me now and say, "Oh, can you give us some advice? My son's 12. and he's doing mini motos, and he wants to be the next world champion. Can you give us some advice? And I always say, make sure you enjoy it. Try and enjoy it. Don't try and become world champion, because if you think you're going to make a load of money and become world champion, the odds are pretty much against you. So make your priority fun. You don't have to go to the next level all the time. Enjoy the level you're at for a bit. And it might be bad advice, as in I might have put someone off prevented someone from being a world champion. But if I can make people enjoy the sport more, like I didn't, then
do you feel differently
good.
Then, John? Was it a different experience?
Motocross or scrambling was a bit of a struggle for me. I think my dad wanted it a bit more than me, even though it was great at times and the worst dad in the world at times. But when I went road racing, he was really mad at me when I decided to go pure road racing. When I did my first Northwest 200, he went up the wall at me, and he wouldn't come with me, which was super unusual with my dad, because he was like my mechanic and stuff. So I never really felt the pressure on the road racing side. So I tended to sort of enjoy it a bit more somehow. And, a lot of people ask me, how have you done it? And to be honest, I haven't got an answer for it. I wish I did. You know what I mean? There isn't you don't have a handbook, do you? You don't buy a handbook from shop. You know how to make a recipe, or you might know how to make egg and chips or whatever, but you don't know how to really do it, do you? And I don't know, like you said, Neil, just enjoy it. I did. I enjoyed it, and I took it all in my stride, and I had a beer, and I had a bit of crack, and stopped up late at night and did things. And I don't know. I think I
went to bed early and drank water. And stress.
But you won a world championship, mate. I never won a world championship. I never got anywhere near winning a world.
Yeah, but conversely, John, though, you've got 23 TT wins to your name, and there's a bit of the course named after you.
Yeah, but do you know
exactly.
What?
On the most famous strip of road in the world for racing.
Yeah, I didn't have a magic wand though, boys. I used my personality. I enjoyed it. A lot of these kids now, they don't have a personality. They're not allowed to have a personality. You look on Instagram now, I pull my hair out. They're all half dressed, doing boring. What's happened to them? It's just, why is nobody doing standard things anymore? What we used to do. But that's just the way it is. I don't know. It's. A good question. It's a big debate, isn't it? I like some. I feel like sometimes, maybe like you do, Neil. Like I'm sort of people's manager at times. I looked after Hutchie a little bit. I looked after a few riders, and like Davey Todd at the minute. I like these kids. I want to see them succeed. I really, really do. I want to see them do well.
Davey Todd's going places, isn't he?
Yeah, but he's got his head screwed on. He's a nice lad, decent kid. You know what I mean? I've had him stopping at my house a couple of times, and we've got playing in field, and we're doing what you're supposed to do, which is enjoy what you do. Nobody's got a gun to your head. Nobody's. And you know what? The big thing is the mould he comes out of is polite and he's nice. And Connor Cummins is out of the same mould, and a couple of other guys. They say please and they say thank you, and is it okay if I do this, and can I stop at your place? Is that okay? A lot of people just expect it, don't they? I like that, and I want to see him do well, and keep the the I was going to say, keep the profile of the riders, so they can have a value in the job,
Yeah, a bit of character and a bit of. It sounds like upbringing to me on both of those. That sounds like what it is. Neil.
Yeah.
I just wondered, when we spoke to Susie the other day, you got some questions. Have you got any more big questions?
I've got some big questions, John. As a bit of a feature, it's probably the main part, I'd say, really, of the podcast. I ask 4 quick-fire questions. They're really important questions. And I just want one word answer.
Oh, we've got a waffle on.
No, just like real quick little answers for these. These are important. Right, I'm going to start with so your name's John McGuinness. You have the pint of Guinness logo everywhere. Is that your favourite drink?
Probably not.
You're a gin and tonic boy, aren't you?
Do you know what? Yeah, sort of. Wild.
Bit of Bombay.
Well, no, I got a bit of a bad experience on it in Macau a couple of years ago. So, gin and tonic sort of turns my stomach again now. Do you know what? I'm up for if somebody hands me something and it's free, I'll drink it. I'm like you, Neil. You know.
Yeah. Good lad.
I bet you can take more than Neil.
Right, shut it. I'm all right.
Oh yeah, he's upside down at the sniff of a barmaid's apron.
Hey, what about your stag do? I did all right. Can we talk about your stag do?
Did you make it till past 9 p.m?
Oh, that stag do was epic, wasn't it? We had a pint in every pub round the TT track. Yeah, 14 pints.
Oh my goodness!
You know, I tell you what. Listen, Gav. You know, when you've had a good stag do, when it's the front page of the Isle of Man newspaper the following week.
Oh no!
Yes.
It was over. We nicked a bucket of parsnips.
It didn't go down well.
I mean, that is big time. That is, I'm surprised you not. That's Brink's Matt robbery. That
Neil was walking out of the ginger hall with a record player till somebody grabbed his collar and said, "Where are you going with that?"
Yeah, we definitely we got a little bit giddy.
What about me? My dad were driving. My old fella were driving this minibus, and I was co-driving over the mountain. So I'm like, do this flat.
Oh god!
So we're flat over the mountain. When we got to the Craignabarth at next pint, we got out, and the front discs were glowing red. Yeah. So all of us, when you're full of drink, you're full of pee as well. So we all peed on discs. So just steamy pee coming off the old discs. So yeah, that smelled well.
Can you imagine the state of me? So we'd had a drink in every pub.
God.
Like, so.
Were you asking if water counted?
No, honestly, I started pints, right? So I got to, let me think where I got to on pints. Well, I got to...
Braille.
No. Shut up. I'm trying to think which pub I got to. I did the first 3 or 4, I think, and then...
I got to Kurt Mitre, wasn't it?
The Mitre. That was it. Yeah. That's when that's where it all started to go wrong.
The highlight of the Mitre was when Prince William and Catherine were getting married or whatever. They all just got together, and there was a life size cardboard cutout, wasn't there, of them two?
Yeah.
And my brother Kurt folded William's head back, so it was just his head holding onto Catherine, and he just bored a little hole where his penis should have been, and fed his willy through the hole. So
it was fantastic.
He was stood there with his lad sticking through cardboard cutout with his head on. Bloody hell, that was funny.
That was funny.
Some crack, wasn't it, Neil?
I tell you what, Gav. Right, we'd got to Ramsey, and we had a pint there, and then we found this old sofa out the back of this pub.
Obviously.
So we got it into the back of the coach, and then we drove and we dropped it off at Ramsey Hairpin.
Yeah, we made a grandstand.
Honestly. We were such a mess. What you can't believe is, so we did that all day, and then we had the full night out in town. Can you imagine what we were like when we walked into the nightclub?
It was a mess, wasn't it?
What a mess. Right, so hang on, I've not finished my quickfire question.
Sorry, we've ruined the feature.
Well, you're boring us now.
Right. Question number 2. Who was your schoolboy?
You've just copied these from Susie's.
No, schoolboy crush. Who did you have? What poster did you have on your wall? Any girls?
What? That's a curveball, Neil.
There you go. Was you like a Pamela Anderson or?
This is Paxman-esque.
I don't know. Probably would have been something like that, yeah. But,
right. All right.
You'd have had a magazine or two, though, wouldn't you? Them days. It was,
the sock
found behind the park bench.
I like the older ones, mate. Slightly older ones. Bit of a hairy. Pit.
Oh.
Yeah, not full barber's floor. Just a bit.
Right. Right. Swans or rainy?
Sorry?
Swans or rainy?
Swans, I think.
Yeah. Right, and this is the main one. This is what we're building up to, the big one. Who's your favourite BT Sport pundit?
What?
I'm laughing at my own joke. Sorry, you don't have to say it. John, you don't have to say it. It's all right.
It's all right. Everyone says Colin Edwards, so don't worry.
It will be
Michael Laverty.
Lav.
say James Towson with his clipboard, but that's another old teammate of mine in 2000. Yeah, it's got to be you, Neil. We've always had a little crush, haven't we, together? We're a couple of Northerners as well, a couple of Lancashire lads.
You shouldn't have said that. He'll be putting that on his website next.
All best riders come from Lancashire. There's another fella in the Foggy, but he's a bit of a knob, so he owes me 30 quid.
Hey, tell us that story. Go on, tell us the story.
Not the money, it's principle. There's me, Whittam, Foggy, and Hutchie all had a bite to eat somewhere in London XL show. And it was in the hotel, we were all stopping, and I don't know what it was, but it was 30 quid a piece. The Foggy just said, I'm not paying, just up and left. So them two are from Yorkshire, so there's no chance them two were paying, were they? So I just dumped the 30 quid up, and and he just doesn't seem to want to give it me back. So I think it definitely said. What would you say to that, Neil? Come on, not right.
I wouldn't have been happy with that. Yeah. I'd have to get revenge somehow.
You see, well, that's it. I'm going to say, I'm surprised you haven't yet.
It's not exactly skinned.
They'll come round. It all comes round again, doesn't it? What goes round comes round. I'll have him back somehow. You
and him had a little bit of an argument at the TT one year that I was there when I was interviewing you both in the hospitality. That was funny.
I can't remember what that was. Yeah, he always has a little niggle. I don't think he likes me. I don't know why, but I don't think Foggy likes me. And
you know what King Cole's like? He's a bit like that with everyone, isn't he?
Yeah, I don't know why though. I hate people. I like people. I like everybody, mate. I got massive respect for everybody, and obviously, what is he? 4 times world champion, couple of 3 TT wins. Formula 1 world champion. Bloke's done everything, but I don't know. It's, just something. He's got an edge to him, hasn't he? And he just doesn't like me, and that's it, I think. So move on.
Well, I wouldn't worry about it too much, John. As enough people do. Enough people enjoy watching, enjoy listening to you too. I think we better let you go because we'll be taking over the whole of the podcast airways here if we're not careful. We could probably talk all day and all night.
We've got some stories there.
Oh, I mean, that's what I say. We could keep going on and on and on and on. And I'm glad we've been able to hear you as well, because you do worry sometimes at these. We had when we had Guy Martin on a couple of episodes ago, we couldn't hear a thing, and we were just guessing. So it's nice to be able to hear your stories anyway.
Yeah. No, it's good, mate.
What have you got? What have you got on now over the rest of the week?
Well, I'm doing that Ducati Cup, I'm doing that V2 Ducati Cup thing, and I've been working on them a bit in the garage, and I'm riding alongside another rider called Andre Compton, who was a professional speedo rider of all things, So, and he's come into a few bobs, so he's stumping up the cash to build the bike and stuff.
What's that? The Ducati, like the Ducati, what used to be the 848 Challenge sort of. Oh,
well,
brilliant.
There were 959s. But now you can use a V2, which is like a small. Looks like a V4, but it's a V2. V twin. Yeah.
No, that'd be good.
Yeah, I just think. Do you know what? I miss our tracks. I think we have got some of the best circuits in the world. I know it's probably me being a bit biased and looking at some of the other stuff is a bit stale. Some of the new stuff. But our tracks are great. Look at Oulton Park. Look at Cadwell. Brands Hatch full circuit, Thruxton so unique, and we have got. I've missed them all. We're doing world endurance and stuff. Doing 800 laps of Le Mans isn't like doing 20 laps of. Le Mans has got to be one of the worst circuits in the world, and you think
it's awful.
It's a. Do you know what that place? I'll probably get shot to bits now, but they say this is the best circuit in the world. We are this. It's a shithole, mate. It's a hellhole. The toilets are stinking. It's just a mess.
When we go there for the Grand Prix every single year, it is almost universally one of the worst ones of the year. Yeah. I mean, we went out to the campsite a couple of times to film some features there. I mean, it is feral. I mean, it is it's scary. I mean, we've had all sorts chucked at us. We were stood at the side of the track trying to record a piece, and you're getting bottles flying past your ear as you just try. I'm just doing this piece on the French rider.
It's an atmosphere to ride. At 2 and 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning, it's pitch black, and you see the fireworks going up, the bonfires.
Yeah.
And, you're into 14, 15 hours of your race, and I've done 5 Le Mans and I've done 5 Bordeaux, and but Le Mans is just a tip. I don't understand why they think it's amazing. It'd be great if it was on the full track.
On the car track, right, but around the Bugatti circuit, no, thank you.
Yeah, awful place, yeah. But yeah, that was one of my most proudest moments, short circuit moments. We finished 10th in Suzuka. I wouldn't dare tell anybody about that. I could just laugh at you. But we finished 10th on that ABS bike, that third of an ABS Honda blade. In 2012, it was me, Cameron Donald, and Jason O'Halloran, and we finished 10th. And I've got one of them Suzuka trophies, and one of my prouder places is that.
Well, because
the crap trophies,
thing about Suzuka is all the factories do turn up for that. So actually, anything 10th is a fantastic result there.
Yeah, if you told anybody, it'd be like 10th. That's a load of shite. But to be honest, I was chuffed to bits. I put my heart and soul into that, and we all did, all 3 of us. And we weren't a bad little package. We finished 4th in the World Championship that year, only 1 point off a medal, and that's one thing that I would like as an FIM medal. But 1 point off it. But anyway, lads, I'm with you on. So.
Doesn't matter. We enjoyed every second of it, John. We'll let you go. Let you get back to rolling your field. Get that grass track sorted.
We'll get you one again, John. I think we need to.
I think there's more. There's more stories there. There's
definitely.
But yeah,
top man.
Lovely to speak to you. I really appreciate your time, and we'll catch up soon, hopefully.
All right, guys. Take it easy.
All right.
All
Cheers,
the best.
John.
Keep safe.
You too.
And you.
See you later.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, it's great to hear from him. He's so down to earth, isn't he? That, I mean, you're talking there about someone who is TT royalty, and he is just your bloke down the pub, isn't he? And actually, he's the sort of person that if you met him in a pub, he might tell you a story. He probably wouldn't because he's modest and everything. And he's sort of person who'd tell you a story and you almost wouldn't believe it because of how he is. Does that make sense?
No, honestly, he's 1 in a million, isn't he? Like I said, he's John McGuinness, legend. TT legend, but he's a biking legend.
Yeah.
He's everything. For me, he's everything that motorbikes are about in the UK. That passion, love, down to earth. Like I almost felt at the end, John was like, "Oh, is that it? I'll
keep going."
Let's, and that's what when you're with John, you'll sit around, you'll drink a few pints, and you'll just go over stories, and he'll go, "Did I ever tell you about this? Did you know that this happened?" And it's just brilliant.
We'll have to go. We'll have to go back. There were a few times it cut out there. If you cut out a few actually as well, Neil, but. Some fantastic stories, but we'll have to hear more of them because there's so many there, and it's no wonder people love him.
Do you know what, Gav? I first realised it. It's probably about 5 years ago at the London XL. There was loads of ex-riders there, and after we'd been doing this little race in the middle, like you race around it, they like create a little bit of an oval. Anyway, after it, you do an autograph signing, and everyone stood there, and there's like nobody waiting for any other rider except John McGuinness, and the queue was about 40 deep. But everyone can relate to him. He's like that. He's your working class hero. And do you know what? He stood and spoke to everybody. He had a time of day for everybody and loved it. That's John McGuinness.
Yeah, superb. We'll have to get him back on. And I do. It's just I feel. Every time I've spoken to him, I remember speaking to him. He was over at Barcelona Grand Prix. Do you remember when he came over there?
Yeah.
And what I remember is that Valentino was the one wanting to chat with him, wasn't he? He was the one getting John in and wanting to speak to him. And that says something about how he's respected in the biking world.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's like the short circuit boys just think the TT riders are. They think 2 things. One, they think, they are completely mad. They are mad. But there's also a massive level of respect.
Yeah.
That's and for Rossi especially. Rossi's always been close to John. I remember John saying, "Hey, I've got Ross's number." Like, how cool's that? He wouldn't give it to me, but oh well.
You'll try. You'll have to wait till you get another 14 pints down him. We'll get him on the pod.
Yeah.
Right. What have you got coming up, Neil? What have you got
nothing. Well, obviously it's the evening now. Vic's downstairs. She's making me tea. I think we're on. She makes a really good curry. So I'm not drinking. Obviously it's midweek.
Obviously.
So
yeah.
I'm sticking with that.
How's your stockpile going? Is it still, or are you into the baked beans yet? You're not down to that. You're not into desperation.
Stockpile's stockpile's good. Vic's on it. She's been looking after me, so all good really. So yeah, just chilling. I'm early night for me. I'm going to be watching another episode of that. What's it called? Tiger King. Have you been watching that? My God,
everyone's been going on about it, and I have watched the first couple, 2 or 3 episodes, and it is bonkers, isn't it?
It can't be real. That's what I keep saying. Shut up! This can't. Just hang on.
I can't. That's the thing. So
how many wives?
Kate almost won't. Exactly. Well, almost won't watch it because she's like, no, I can't get into this because I can't relate to it. It's just a different world, isn't it?
Bizarre, isn't it? Yeah. So, but I've started, so I'll finish. It's one of them, so I've got to watch it. I've got to see it through.
I'm with you on that. We're doing it. We're ploughing on through. And one thing that I wanted to make sure you'd watch, I sent you a link. I don't know if you watched it yet, of the Marble.
Oh, I haven't watched it.
Right.
Well,
I'm going to tell people to go and find it. I got sent it by someone who'd listened to the podcast and said, "Oh, check out what's happened now." So previously they were doing it all on sand. It was a bit like marble motocross in a way, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Or downhill mountain bike. Well, now they've built. It's like a electric track, right? It's about a 40-second lap, and then at the end of the lap, it's all downhill, obviously. It's the marble. At the end of the lap, there's like an escalator that takes them back up to the top, and they do 10 laps. It's superb. Honestly, it's hilarious. It is
right. I'll watch it.
And it's called Marbula One.
Right.
And
brilliant. See what they've done.
And it's still the same chap. And I think Formula E, one of the Formula E teams, has gone into partnership with them. We've gone into partnership with them to do some sort of event, so that's coming up soon. So anyway, I'm obsessed by it at the moment. So.
Right. I'll watch it.
Yeah, make sure you do. Right. Neil, nice to speak to you. And great to speak to John. And I'm sure we'll be back again soon. Any comments, anything like that, remember to go to @GavinEmmett on Twitter or @NeilHodgson100. And as always, leave us a nice rating. But we appreciate you all for listening. Thank you so much. Remember, we're just doing this just for a laugh, just for something to do.
Trying to entertain people. It is boring. The lockdown's boring, isn't
exactly.
it? So if we can entertain a few people here and there, then happy days.
Well, John McGuinness' stories will have entertained you. So let us know what you think anyway. And tell everyone you know. And hopefully we can make a few more of them. We'll keep trying anyway. Nice to speak to you, Neil. See you soon.
Yeah, and you. See you, Gav. Cheers, mate. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.